Hello, my name is Jared Elzinga, and this is my self-reflective journal for CIT360. This is my last assignment before I graduate, and over the last couple of weeks I have been looking back at myself as a student, from when I started to where I am now. And this class is a good example of the development that I've had as a student. Because as a student, I first had things that I struggled with, like every other student, I'm sure. But with this class specifically, the first thing that I came up with out of the top four that I came up with was what was exactly expected of me. I found it really difficult to have the information that I thought I needed, to figure out what was expected of me, and how to find out how this class was set up and how it was gonna, the whole thing was going to work. Like the due dates, for instance, I was really confused on the due dates. The only due date that really is out there is at the 10-week mark. It was just really difficult to figure out a location for all of the information of this assignment's due this day and this and so on of when everything is due. With those other two, or with the first two, it then brings me to the third topic of how to be successful in this class. I had no idea with not knowing what was expected of me or when everything was due. It's really difficult to be successful. And that was similar to myself as a student. At the beginning, I had a really hard time of figuring out what was expected of me. I wasn't prepared to have the due dates with no teacher demanding that work is done and needs to be turned in. It was just turned in or fail. And so I would have struggled with that. And then I figured out how to be successful. I started paying attention to the due dates, knowing what was expected of me, and then was able to just keep working, and I was able to pass one class, and then another, and then another, and then another, and here I am taking the last class of the degree, until I graduate. And then the other thing that I struggled in this class was the code repository. I was able to do the first assignment and follow the tutorial to get Eclipse set up to sync with GitHub and to use GitHub as the repository. I was able to do that for the first assignment. Then the second assignment, for whatever reason, and I still don't know, but that syncing ability, the communication, broke down to where I wasn't able to push anything up to GitHub, and so I had to figure out an alternative way to get them submitted into GitHub so my assignments could be graded and looked at and found and just kept. some of the things that worked great for me was the group that I was assigned to. At first, the group was with 5 people. There was one of us group members that was in a different time zone, and so he was not able to meet with us at the time that the majority of us were available. And so he requested to be moved to a group with a similar study and availability time. And then a couple weeks after that, there was another person that had taken on too big of a class schedule, and so he just wasn't able to have the time that was needed for all of his classes that he signed up for, and so he had to drop the class. And so it left just the 3 of us in the group. Robert and Robbie and I as a group members. So with the other 2 leaving, we had to reassign some of the topics that were assigned to the other group members, which made that portion of this class difficult, having that many presentations to do. But I was really impressed with both of them, that they were always prepared. They had you could tell that they had spent a lot of time on their topics, their presentation topics, and that they were there to help. There were a lot of times that outside of our normal scheduled meeting times, an IM would come in and as, a quick question. And then it ends up being, between the 3 of us, it ended up being a couple of hours worth of communicating, just through chat during the days of anything that may have come up. And it was just a really professional grouping of guys, and we worked really well together. So some of my favorite assignments for this semester, the first one is the HTTPS connection assignment, where it uses the HTTPS GET request, and then gets the URL content and certificate detail. I've got a little code snippet here that I had to condense and make not pretty to fit on the slide, and so I'll show you the actual code in just a little bit. But this one I am using on the left the code, and I grabbed the website byui.edu, and on the right it brings back the results of the code response and the type and the hash code, the public key information. And then underneath it I've got the URL information. With BYU Idaho, that website is enormous, and so there was no way I was going to fit that. This is just the tip of the information that it pulled back. And I'll show you the results in just a second. But it was really awesome. I love that assignment. After I got it working, I tried so many different websites, and I just spent a lot of time just reading through the code that was involved in order to get that site working. The next one is a grading calculator that I use for JUnit. And then on the right is my code. And then on the left is the example of the test scenarios that I used. So here is the code for the JUnit. So it loops through, starting at 93 and above would return an A, and 85 and above would return a B, 77 and above would be a C, 70 and above would be a D, and then anything else would be an F. The tests, the JUnit tests, are starts out with the assert equals. If the score is a 40, then the expected result would be an F. 76 would be a D. 81 would be a C. 88 would be a B. 95 would be an A. And then the not equals, the assert not equals section would be 80 would not be an A. And then there's the assert null, and then the assert true, so then it would give you the passes and the fails, depending on equals or not equals. The second, or the first assignment with the HTTP connection, here's the code for that. Again, I grabbed I'll show you the BYUI.edu, where it grabs the response code here, the type, the hash code, the public key information, and then it grabs the URL information. And so then when you run it, it brings back the results here. So it gives you the response code of 200, the type, the hash code, the public key information, and then the URL information. And then this is the part that I spent way too much time on, just reading over it. But it's got the document type, all of the HTML, all the way down, everything about it. You've got the CSS, the colors, the background color, the font weight. It's got your drop down lists, and then it going farther down, and I know I'm going super fast on this one. Then it goes down to the footer, so they call it the fat footer, and then it gives you all the links that's found on the website. Here's all the lists of those, and then the ending of the fat footer. I thought it was just a super fun project to have. And like I said, I spent way too much time looking at that. For this class, I know this class has prepared me for life. In life, we're not given all the answers up front in plain text. I mean, we have to go look for it. Things in life won't go as that we have planned, but if we just keep working at it, then and just keep on going, then we'll be successful. I just keep telling myself, keep calm and just keep working. I took an art class, and it was a really long, big project that we had to do, and I was halfway to it or through it, and I didn't like it. I hated it. I wanted to throw it away. Didn't have time to start over, so I kept going. Kept working at it. Added shadows. I added the different lightings, and the end result is amazing. I love it. And that's how this class is, and that's how pretty much every class that I've taken if you keep going, then it just works out. Everything is successful.